My sisters are always my ultimate inspiration, and today we meet a young woman who has come from humble beginnings and reached for what could be considered an impossible dream. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Nur the Light. Let's jump into the water for our first story and find out more about marine conservationist Jamila Janna.
Rural-born Jamila Janna has come a long way from the inland village Lusikisiki in the Transkei. Her dreams of becoming an environmentalist started here, and she has managed to pursue it to its current location as a master's student at the University of Stellenbosch.
When it comes to marine biology, I think I've always had an interest in wildlife and conservation. It's something that has been instilled in me by my grandparents and my parents. So when I was in matric, when I had to choose my majors, I think the stars aligned to be in my favor, because my first option was actually journalism before marine biology, and I accidentally put marine biology as my first choice. When I got accepted, I was extremely excited.
Her thoughts of growing up in the Eastern Cape are beautifully expressed in an excerpt of a poem she wrote entitled Transkei.
Do not ask me what the Transkei mountains say to me, for very often they speak in tongues. Laced with familiarity, their hushes call me back home. Our happiness, they keep on saying. Our happiness comes from the respect we pay to the land we walk on, the animals we coexist with, and the God we owe it all to.
Jamila's family moved to Phoenix in Durban, and while here, trips to the ocean became a norm. Her curiosity with the sea became a passion and a path to something greater.
I can say my love for the ocean and nature comes from my roots of being firstly closer. I remember the first time I ever killed an animal. Firstly, it was accidental, but it was a chick, and we were running around trying to catch them in my grandmother's yard. I caught it, and I was so excited, and I ran to my grandma and my mom, holding the chicken in my hand, and I'm showing them, look, I caught the chick. And when I opened my hand, I had unfortunately strangled it, and ever since then I was traumatized. I was like, nope, no harm to animals. But even in our culture, being Xhosa, being Majola means that we have a snake in our family that represents our clan that we cannot kill. So already that is an aspect of conservation and appreciating nature. I was able to love and grow into nature and conservation.
After completing matric, Jamila enrolled for a degree in marine biology at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. She got the opportunity to pitch a concept for a TV program run through the Nature, Environment, Wildlife and Filmmaker program, who looks at empowering young black storytellers.
In 2018, I went to the Conservation Symposium and I presented my honors project there. NEWF, which is Nature, Environment, Wildlife and Filmmakers Congress, which is an organization based in Durban, were looking for young scientists who creatively presented their honors project. And I was lucky to have been picked. That meant that I automatically became a finalist for the 2019 New Pitch competition, which is basically a competition where people come forward and they present film pitches that are based on nature, wildlife and conservation. Initially, my film was meant to be about my honors project, but that changed because of some complications. I was representing youth, South African youth in the marine space. I had learned also that marine protected areas, unfortunately, their implementation had marginalized coastal communities. Being born in the Eastern Cape, knowing that there are so many marine protected areas in the Eastern Cape, it did not feel right for me as a black woman to be advocating for something that means people need to starve or go hungry. And that is where Umhlanga came about. It is a film that urges scientists, government, politicians, etc., even the general public, to consider that when it comes to implementing conservation methods, they have to be people-focused, region-focused, and they should not bring environmental racism. It should not have any form of social injustice in it.
Jamila returned to the Eastern Cape where she made her short film Shluleka, which focuses on the plight of the Eastern Cape community's issues regarding marine protected areas.
The process of filmmaking was exciting. It was nerve-wracking, but overall I think it has had a very positive influence on me. I am very confident that I can finally find my space where I can incorporate my creative side and my marine biology side together and start telling stories, African stories that need to be told.
The NEWF program has given a platform to young, aspiring and newer voices, especially from disadvantaged communities. Jamila has taken the opportunity with both hands and relishes in being able to tell stories in this way.
So with the film, we have entered it into a few film festivals as well, so we'll see from the organizers what the verdict is. Other than that, all we're trying to do is plan some screenings, more broadcasting and entering them into film festivals as well.
Jamila actively uses social media as a platform to create awareness about marine protected areas and marine threats through a group called Youth for Marine Protected Areas. She's also a member of the Only This Much campaign that advocates to advance the protection of the oceans around South Africa. At the basis of all she does, however, is Islam and being a Muslim.
For me, how Islam has influenced marine biology, it comes down to the fundamentals of being Muslim. And being Muslim means spreading peace. And no matter what we do, peace should be the ultimate goal. And I think that has always been the way I think. For me, as much as I've had people question me being in marine as a black Muslim, I know that Allah is the planner of everything and I cannot question where He takes me. So happens that He has led me to the ocean and all I can do is embrace that.
We're Youth for MPAs, which is Youth for Marine Protected Areas, and we are what we say our organization is. I first came across her and the group when I was invited by another friend. So right from the beginning, we kind of got to know each other on a hands-on sort of basis, and we just pretty much from one hands-on active person in the environment to another. It means everything to me to have women of color represented in the environmental and marine areas. I crave and to see someone like me doing these amazing things and being recognized for it. And I'm really happy to see that because the girls that I live with in my community are craving for the same thing. And they've had the opportunity to also work alongside them.
South Africa's coastline stretches 2,800 kilometers and encapsulates many local communities who often don't participate in the conservation of this valuable resource. Through people like Jamila, there is hope, and she represents the new guard of homegrown environmentalists.
Don't forget that you can watch each and every episode on YouTube after it's been broadcast. Just search for An-Nur the Light on SABC3. Muslims have lived in traditional neighborhoods, but many are leaving this behind and building communities elsewhere. We went to see how Islam is taking root in the coastal suburb of Umhlanga in Durban.
Umhlanga Rocks is an exclusive suburb on Durban's north coast. It is bordered by the warm Indian Ocean on one side and lush tropical vegetation on the other. When the new democracy got ushered in, it opened up suburbs such as these to people of color who were once not allowed to live here because of the Group Areas Act. Muslims were amongst those people, and as soon as they moved in, their very first action was to start a mosque.
The Umhlanga Islamic Society, the mosque, was officially opened in 2003. They had found a piece of land, and this is considered to be the religious area. We have 3 churches around, there's a temple, and right in the center there is a mosque. So the mosque was opened in the year 2003. Initially, when the mosque was built, many thought that it's too big for the area. But we find that 17 years down the line, in fact the mosque is small, for the Umhlanga area.
The mosque has been the heart of the community. For the locals, it has become their refuge from the humdrum of life. It is their place of worship and the glue in the fabric of their lives. 5 times a day, the call to prayer is sounded, and 5 times a day, they flock here to answer that call.
One of the reasons, amongst the many other reasons for the mosque being built in this area, the residents of Umhlanga, many of them lived in Tongaat, in Vellam, in Durban, in areas which were densely populated with masajid and places of worship. So there was a need to establish a place for prayer. So hence, this particular masjid, the Umhlanga Islamic Society, was established.
Maulana Vanka has been the religious authority for more than 15 years. He has seen the community grow from humble beginnings and has administered to their needs.
I came to Umhlanga in the year 2005, and I've been the imam, the head imam at this particular mosque. So we oversee the social activities. There are certain areas which are probably 4 to 5 kilometers away from here, where there are families who live in abject conditions. Many of them are suffering with abject poverty. So we do a lot of hamper drives. We do a lot of social work, counseling, at the mosque. So we have a full-time office, running at the mosque.
Education remains at the forefront of a Muslim's life, and this led to a school being started on the premises of the mosque.
We found a need to open up a primary school in this area because there are lots of, it's a residential area and there are lots of homes and estates and that in here. We approached the Umhlanga Islamic Society. Mr. Harun Issa gave us full support and go ahead to open up a school. We were also supported by Maulana Vanka as well as Mr. Farhad Khan. Jazakallah khair to them for their support. What happens is, this is a madrasa in the afternoons. When they've built this, we approached them. My dad is Mr. Yusuf Salat. He's the founder and first principal of the school, and he has 55 years experience in education. So he saw it as a good area to open up a school. We don't limit our learners just to the Umhlanga area. We have learners coming in from the town area, from Umhloti, so it's not just for the residents of Umhlanga.
Here, learners get to learn not only a secular curriculum, but Islam is taught in a fun and entertaining way.
We are a school that is diverse. It is not only for Muslims. We have non-Muslim children in the school, and I think it's important because learners need to be integrated, and we are South African, so we come from a diverse country. So it's very important for learners to mix with different cultures and races, and universal values are taught. We are affiliated to the Department of Education as a registered school. Therefore, we follow the Department of Education syllabus, the CAP syllabus.
The school may still be small, but this only enhances the quality of teaching as well as care they give to their young learners.
So at the mosque, we have a preschool, we have a primary school. There is a hifz school as well that is running. We have a maktab, a madrasa, for young kids. And apart from that, we run a full-time office, at the mosque, wherein we deal with many social issues. And of course, there are various programs that, that take place, at the mosque.
Umhlanga offers its residents an enviable lifestyle with high-end property, an all-encompassing mall at Gateway, and some of Durban's best beaches and tourist attractions. It's no secret that more and more Muslims are making this their home and adding to the diverse neighborhood that is developing here.
Lamise du Toit has been a feature on our show for so long and has helped so many of us with quick and easy recipe ideas. Here she is with her family's favorite teriyaki chicken dish.
Assalamu alaikum. We all get stuck in the rut when we keep making the familiar because it's easy and it's our go-to dishes. But there's a world of flavor out there. Today I'm going to be sharing one of my family's favorites and one that Drishti loves, and that's teriyaki chicken. And the ingredients that you need are the following. I've got some spring onion that I'm going to chop up for garnish. I've got about 6 chicken fillets that I'm going to cut into thin strips. I've got some pak choy, and that's a side dish. You don't have to use pak choy, you can use any green veg of your choice. I've got some mazina, also known as corn flour, that we're going to be rolling our chicken in. Just some additional water for cooking. And then our spices or aromatics for this dish are the following. I've got some rice vinegar, 30 ml of sesame seeds, 50 ml of honey, 50 ml of dark soy sauce, and I've got 50 ml of sesame oil for frying. I've got about 3 cloves of garlic that we've crushed, and then I've got about 1 inch, which is the size of my thumb, of ginger, grated, and then I've got some red chili just for some extra spice because you know I like it hot. So to start off, I'm going to start by cutting my fillets. So I've got a chopping board ready, and I'm just going to cut these across the grain so that they stay nice and tender, and you don't want them to be big because what I like about this dish is that it takes less than 7 minutes to make. And what's really cool about teriyaki chicken is that you could use this on whole chicken pieces as well. Okay, so now that my pan is nice and warm, I'm going to add some oil. And you want your pan to be smoky hot. And this is why I use sesame oil, because your normal vegetable oil doesn't really work well at these temperatures. So peanut oil or sesame oil would work really well. So to make sure that your teriyaki sauce thickens, all you've got to do is dust your chicken with some mazina. So when I put my chicken in, I'm going to lay them into the pan. And you'll notice there's no seasonings going into this, because you want to get a nice rich dark flavor, and this mazina will make it nice and crispy around the edges. It will also serve as your thickening agent when we cook this further later on. So once they're cooked, I move them to the side and I start adding additional chicken pieces. This way you don't get too much moisture going in your pan at once. So the chicken's getting some nice color. It's just about time for me to start prepping my veg. So what I've got is some pak choy, and all that you need to do with this, because it's so tender, is literally slice it down the middle. And what you're going to do is you're going to braise these flat down. And for the pak choy, I'm not going to use the sesame oil, but rather I'm just going to use normal oil just to get a slight char, but you want your pan to be smoking hot. And you can hear my chicken is sizzling, which means it needs the aromatics. Okay, so first I'm going to start with my ginger, my garlic, and all of our seasonings. So this is your rice vinegar, my honey. So teriyaki sauce is a sweet sauce, and then the dark soy. And your dark soy essentially is a salt substitute. And now we're going to give this a good mix. And I'm going to let this sit for at least 4 minutes. And if you see that your sauce is starting to thicken too quickly, this is why we've got a bit of water. So this just allows it to marinate for a longer period without burning. And you can see already as I pull my spoon across, the sauce is starting to go sticky. And that's exactly what you want your teriyaki to be. Okay, I'm going to leave that to cook. Pop in some oil. And then face down, we're just going to grill off our pak choy. So the chicken's done, and I'm going to turn that off. And while our pak choy is going, because this is going to take about another 4 minutes, I'm going to start prepping our garnishes. So the spring onion you want to cut on the diagonal, and remember you can use everything from the white bits all the way to the green bits at the top. Separate these, and that should be enough. And then one of my favorite things in the world would be a red chili. So if you don't like it too hot, de-seed this, but if you like me, I leave the seeds in. And that's it. Garnish is done. And all we have to do is finish our pak choy and we'll be ready to serve. So now that my garnishes are ready, I'm just going to add a little bit of water to my pak choy just to get the bulbous parts to soften. And you could do this in a bamboo steamer, but it works just as well in a pan. And while that is softening up, I'm going to do a quick clean up so that we're ready to plate. It's now the best part, the plating before the eating. So what I've got here is some fragrant rice. I just steam it for a bit to make it extra sticky. So there we go, our rice is done. Pak choy, which I'm going to just place on the side. And just fan it out and make a really quick and easy dish look like it took hours to prepare, when we all know that it didn't. And what's really cool about this recipe is that it's so simple and you could literally use it with anything. It goes great with strips of beef, sirloin or lamb. You could do it with hake fillets, which I like to deep fry first and then pour the teriyaki sauce over. So for those days where you really don't feel like spending any time in the kitchen, this is the perfect quick fix. And our garnishes: sesame seeds, the richest source of, believe it or not, calcium, spring onion, and just because I like hot, some Thai red chilies. And there you have it, teriyaki chicken. So until next time, assalamu alaikum.
Shukran for having joined me for another episode that celebrates the South African Ummah. Ramadan is with us now, and we would like to take this opportunity to wish each and every one of you a Ramadan Kareem. Kina mare mokwanda, kiri are bueri bonanenkape. Assalamu alaikum.